Generation ships, or sometimes called colony ships, are a classic idea in science fiction about how humanity or other aliens might travel to distant stars when faster-than-light travel isn't possible or hasn't been invented yet in their universe. In simpler terms, such a ship is always very huge. It is a self-sustaining spacecraft that is designed to carry people on a journey so long that no single crew might live to see the destination, or even if they do, it would take long years for them to get there, so maybe there would be some sort of hypersleep involved. Because the trip can take years, centuries, or even millennia, the ship has to be almost like a floating city or a miniature habitat. Some of them would have to have farms, recycling systems for air and water, energy sources, medical facilities, and societal structures that has to last across generations. Some stories imagine sleek advanced vessels with artificial gravity and sprawling ecosystems under domes, while others picture darker, grittier ships with rotating sections where the original mission has been forgotten, and the inhabitants see the ship itself as their entire world. So here in this video we will showcase the biggest generation ships and other colony ships or sublight spaceships that travel interstellar distances without the fantastical FTL or warp tech seen in most sci-fi settings. Let's begin! At the 10th spot we have the Avalon from the movie Passengers. This is a colossal interstellar colony vessel designed as much for function as for luxury. It stretches an impressive 1,000 meters in length. The ship carries 5,000 passengers, all placed in long-term hibernation pods for the majority of its 120-year journey from Earth to a distant colony world called Homestead 2. Its design blends scientific plausibility with visual grandeur. Instead of the traditional rotating wheel for artificial gravity, the Avalon features something similar, but these are three immense twisted blades that slowly spin to generate centrifugal force. Each blade has its own purpose. One holds the hibernation base, another serves as the entertainment and living hub with concourses, theaters, and observation decks, and the third one stores massive amounts of cargo and supplies for the new world. To push this city-sized spacecraft across the stars, the Avalon relies on nuclear fusion reactors, generating vast amounts of plasma to power its sublight engines. And then the Avalon isn't just a giant cruise ship in space, it also has an AI that manifests as interactive holograms, automated attendants, and the service android like Arthur. Number 9. The ISV Venture Star. The ISV, or the Interstellar Vehicle, is the largest spacecraft fielded by the RDA in the movie universe of James Cameron's Avatar, with the ISV Venture Star, the centerpiece of the first movie, being 1,646 meters long, which is probably the standard size for the others as well. These starships are built for interstellar travel between Earth and Pandora in the Alpha Centauri system, using a mix of matter-antimatter engines, photon sails for cruising, and fusion planetary maneuvering engines. An ISV accelerates to 0.7 times the speed of light in 5.5 months, then cruises for nearly 6 years, and then decelerates for another 5.5 months, completing the 4.37 light-year trip in 6.75 years. This massive interstellar ship built for the Pandora mission was designed around a tensile carbon nanotube truss linking its twin antimatter engines to the main payload. At the front are spherical cryogenic hydrogen tanks, engines, and radiators. Along the truss sits the modular cargo containers, serviced by robotic arms and paired with Valkyrie trans-atmospheric vehicles for planetary transfer. The central habitation section holds the cryo vaults, amnio tanks, and crew facilities, and these are built mostly from composites to minimize radiation risks. And all of these things combine to form an industrial-looking, practical ship that would take people from Earth to Pandora in less than 7 years. At number 8 we have, from the universe of The Expanse, the LDSS Nauvoo, which was originally conceived as a colossal generation ship but then became a station and then a warship later on. It was built by the Mormon Church with the goal of carrying thousands of colonists on a century-long voyage to Tau Ceti, which is some 12 light years away. Designed as a massive rotating cylinder over 2.4 kilometers long and nearly a kilometer wide, it was essentially a mobile world, with spinning decks for artificial gravity, 10 levels of environmental and living systems, temples, schools, and machine shops, all meant to sustain generations of settlers. Propulsion for the ship came from 8 Epstein drives, each the size of a warship, capable of pushing the vessel to about 12% the speed of light, fast enough for interstellar travel. Weighing roughly 100 million tons, it could carry thousands of people, skiffs, drones, and docking craft. However, the Nauvoo was captured and refitted into the OPAS Behemoth, a makeshift battleship, and later the flagship of the belt. In time, after the opening of the ring gates, the vessel was further converted into the Medina Station, a strategic hub at the gateway to the newly accessible galaxies and star systems, thereby securing its place in history not as a colony ship as it was originally intended to, but as a fortress and a power center for the belt. Number 7. The USS Cygnus. So here this ship is from the Disney's Black Hole movie of 1979. It is one of the most striking ships in classic science fiction cinema. Originally built as a deep space exploration vessel over 2,600 meters long, as estimated by many experts on Reddit, its mission was to search for habitable worlds. However, when the ship was recalled to Earth, the one in control of the ship defied orders and seized control, with most of the crew either perishing or being transformed into robotic drones after a failed mutiny. For 20 years, the Cygnus disappeared, eventually being found orbiting dangerously close to a massive black hole. Unlike most spaceships in fiction, this one is depicted as a cathedral-like latticework of girders and glowing panels and a massive, almost Gothic-looking structure, kind of like the warships of Warhammer 40k, and this design emphasizes emptiness and scale rather than solid bulk. The vessel was modified with anti-gravity field generators, which allows it to resist the pull of the black hole, but then for reasons that we will not spoil, it did meet its eventual end in the same abyss. Number 6. The Elysium. In the movie called Pandorum, after human overpopulation depletes the Earth's resources, humanity builds an interstellar ark called the Elysium that carries 60,000 people on a 123-year trip to colonize an exo-world called Tanis, which is an Earth-like world. The passengers are thus placed in hypersleep, and a rotating crew are awakened twice a year to maintain the ship. However, 8 years into the mission, the ship receives a transmission from Earth which reads as, "You are all that's left of us. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed." So here nothing much is known about how the Elysium travels, but it can be guessed by visuals that it uses massive ionic or plasma engines that pushes it to the destination planet called Tanis in 120 years or so, in sublight speed. Its design contains multiple rotating rings that would mimic gravity for the passengers and the crew, and in the middle lies a massive section which is probably where the ship is piloted or controlled, and is connected to the massive engines. Its true size is never revealed, but it can be estimated to be anywhere around the 3,000 meter range. Number 5. The Odysseus. In the world of Elite Dangerous, which is an online game with vast amounts of lore, there are many different generation ships. These are essentially massive self-sustaining arcs in space, designed to travel interstellar distances at sublight speeds, which is long before humanity ever mastered faster-than-light travel or perfected cryogenic stasis. These vessels function as entire ecosystems, carrying hundreds or even thousands of colonists who live, work and die aboard the ships, with new generations born to continue the journey until their descendants reach the target world. The very first of these monumental ships was launched from the solar system in the year 2097, during an era where humanity had only just established footholds on the Moon and Mars, following the devastation of World War III. After the following decades, an estimated 70,000 generation ships were launched, mostly funded by wealthy corporations with staggering budgets. Amongst the most successful designs, some ships were giants, with vessels like the Odysseus, a celebrated example, stretching 3,150 meters in length, which is essentially a traveling city carrying the hopes of entire populations across the stars. At number 4 we have the Cooper Station. This station in the movie Interstellar is humanity's great orbital refuge, a vast O'Neill cylinder-style space habitat built to house tens of thousands of people after Earth became increasingly uninhabitable. It orbits peacefully around Saturn, close to the artificial wormhole that first enabled interstellar exploration, which means the station cannot travel faster than the speed of light without the use of this wormhole, which was created not by them but by the fifth-dimensional beings who are maybe our descendants. Anyway, the station creates artificial gravity by spinning on its axis with entire landscapes lining the sides of the cylindrical walls. Much of its interior is devoted to agriculture, ensuring a sustainable food supply, while other cultural areas form the backbone of daily life. A massive light source runs along the axis of the station, dimming and brightening to simulate day and night cycles of the Earth. As for the journey, the Cooper Station is not traveling between stars as of yet, but rather orbiting around Saturn, functioning as a permanent habitat rather than a ship bound for another world. For now, Its exact size isn't explicitly stated in the movie, but this O'Neill cylinder of this type might be more than 4 kilometers long and maybe 1.5 to 2 kilometers wide. On the third spot we have the Red Dwarf. This one is an enormous city-sized mining spaceship operated by the Jupiter Mining Corporation and serves as the central setting for the comedy sci-fi series called Red Dwarf. Originally crewed by hundreds of personnel under Captain Frank Hollister, the ship's primary function was deep space mining, equipped with massive front ram scoops designed to collect trace hydrogens from space as a near-endless source of fuel. At over 6 miles or about 10,000 meters long, the Red Dwarf is one of the largest and oldest vessels in this universe, with its own artificial gravity somehow. Most of the ship's systems are overseen by an onboard AI, who is called Hawley, who once boasted an IQ of 6,000, but gradually degraded in both intellect and sanity over millions of years. In terms of travel, the Red Dwarf's maximum sublight speed is about 200,000 miles per hour normally, making journeys from even within the solar system to take several years. However, in one instance, after gradually speeding up for 3 million years, the Red Dwarf eventually broke the speed of light, the light barrier, but then it was slowed down again. But if you take 3 million years to break the light barrier, the speed of light, well, technically you're still a ship with sublight speed. At number 2 we have the SS Daria from Space 1999, which is one of the most memorable generation ship designs in classic sci-fi television. Built as a colossal arc ship meant to preserve the Darian race, it measures an astonishing 20 miles long and 5 miles wide, covering a surface area of nearly 100 square miles, which is essentially a drifting metropolis in space. Designed by Martin Bauer, the ship's look is intentionally monumental and decayed, and looks more like a crumbling city or an ancient megastructure than a sleek spacecraft, which reflects its history as a relic of a civilization long past its prime. Nearly 9 centuries before the events of the episode, the Darius nuclear reactors exploded, devastating its entire systems and leaving the survivors trapped on board as it continued coasting at sublight speeds through the void for those many years. And number 1, the Yonada. This one is an immense asteroid starship from Star Trek the original series. It was created by the ancient Fabrini civilization over 10,000 years ago when their sun faced imminent supernova. Rather than perish, the Fabrini transformed a massive asteroid into a colony ship, hollowing it out from beneath and fitting it with advanced propulsions and life support systems, then sending it on a centuries-long, computer-controlled journey towards a new habitable world. The Yonada measures about 200 miles or 320 kilometers in diameter, and the ship was powered by atomic engines, capable of correcting its trajectory against gravitational stresses as it wandered through space. The Fabrini sealed themselves inside of it, in stasis, and entrusted the vessel's guidance to a central computer known as the Oracle. Thus, the Yonada became not only a physical arc across the stars, but also a time capsule, carrying fragments of a civilization long vanished from its own system, and maybe soon to be gone from the galaxy. So those are the biggest generation or colony ships and sublight ships in our list. Now if you like this video, then press the like button, and then for the ones viewing this in their phones, well, press the hype button as well to push the content further. Also do hit that subscribe button to be a part of Legion Nutbug. Till the next time, take care, boys.